Good morning, everybody, wherever you're watching. I'm Nate Eaton here with Jordan Wood. He's behind the wheel, and we are on our way to the Fremont County Courthouse. It is a blustery day. Honestly, every day for the past 2 months have been blustery. It's cold, it's windy, wind chill warning. If you're not in eastern Idaho, you're sure missing out. It's been a long winter. The reason we're up and Adam this morning is because we have another Daybell hearing, and it is the pre-trial conference. And it could be, at least according to the docket, the schedule, the last hearing we have before the trial starts on April 3rd. Now, I think that there may be one or two more scheduled between now and then, just in case, but as of this morning, as of this moment, publicly, there are no other hearings scheduled in the Vallow Daybell case until April 3rd, when the trial starts in Ada County, where the weather should be a lot better. So what's expected to happen today? What is a pre-trial conference? Well, this is basically a hearing where the judge says, all right, counsel, are we ready? Prosecutors, are you ready for the trial? Defense, are you ready for the trial? Do we have any last minute housekeeping items, you could call it? They could talk about, procedural type of maybe jury stuff. It's really just, are we ready to go? Now, there will also be some other things discussed today. John Pryor, Chad Daybell's attorney, will argue his motion to sever the cases. He's done this before, he's been denied before, but now he is saying that, listen, this trial, at least his argument as of a week or two ago was, this trial is just weeks away and I'm still waiting on evidence. I'm still waiting on DNA stuff that's being tested in the lab, and my client can't get a fair trial if I don't have that evidence, and my experts don't have enough time to evaluate that evidence. Or they could find out that evidence that they're waiting to get back turns out it was nothing. If that's the case, I don't know what Pryor's argument would be. So that's what's going to happen. Someone just asked a good question. Why do some jurors take notes and some don't? Well, as far as the jury, that's completely up to the judge. There are some judges, I have covered trials in other states, not in Idaho, where the judge said, no notes. You cannot take any notes to the jurors because we don't want you to get caught up on one particular element, perhaps. We just want you to go with the overall encompassing thing. Other judges allow notes to be taken. And then I guess that would be up to the individual juror if they're going to take notes. We don't have any jury instruction yet publicly about the Daybell jurors, what they will be instructed to do. That will be public, I imagine, as far as what the judge tells them what they can and cannot do, but we don't have that yet. Someone just asked, I saw something about a transport order. So a transport order is basically Lori Vallow is being held in Madison County in the women's facility, and every time that they move her from that facility to the court, you have to, or the judge issues a transport order. So that's what that is. They basically have to take her over to the courthouse. Chad's been staying in the Fremont County Courthouse, or the Fremont County Jail, which is basically attached to the courthouse, so they just walk him over a few steps. And Jordan will be outside today trying to get video of them leaving. I imagine they're already there. So yeah, that's what's going to happen today. There could be a couple of other motions that are discussed. I do know that Kay and Larry Woodcock are in town, and they, we'll see if they have anything that they want to say as the trial gets closer and closer. There were a mediation session, or a settlement session, you could call it. Basically, some options were discussed recently, last week, about whether there could be a plea agreement in this hearing and what each side was willing to do. And as far as everything we know, nothing came of that. Now, that doesn't mean that any time between now and the time the trial starts, there could be a plea agreement. Chad or Lori could come out and say, okay, rather than take the death penalty off the table and give me life in prison instead. And if the prosecutors agree to that, that's what they get. What would be the benefit for them? Well, obviously with the death penalty, there's years and years and years of appeals. the standard that you have to argue in court is much higher than a life in prison type of hearing. So they could enter a plea agreement if all sides agreed up until the time the trial starts. We even covered a trial on East Idaho News about several months ago where they went through one day of trial. The very next day, they said, Your Honor, we've settled it. So there was a plea agreement overnight. So that could happen. We just don't know. So that's what's happening this morning. I appreciate you all watching. If you have any other questions you want to shoot in here, we have a couple more minutes till I've got to hop out and hop into the courthouse. Again, we won't be able to stream the hearing today because the judge is not allowing cameras anymore into the hearing. And as of now, there's an order that there will be no cameras at the trial. And, you know, the prosecutors agree with that. And John Pryor does not agree with that. He wants cameras. Lori's attorney agrees with that. And that makes sense, I mean, in a way. Although if you look at some other trials, like the Murdoch trial right now, if you're watching that, they've got multiple cameras in there. They're showing it all. So anyway, it's just kind of interesting how different, it's completely up to the judge in Idaho. If the judge says no cameras, there's no cameras. So we won't have a camera in there today. We will have a live, or not a live audio feed. We will be able to get audio of the hearing after it's over. And we'll file a records request. They'll send over that audio. You can listen to the proceedings. That'll probably be later today. Normally we get it 3 or 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Are there things we can do to still get cameras in the courtroom? Well, again, that's completely up to the judge. I know Larry Woodcock. I interviewed him a few weeks ago, and he wanted everyone to write the judge a letter. And I know that they've received some letters at the courthouse. So that is, it's up to him. We, as far as the media or the public, we can't go in and say, you know, file an objection. We can't appeal it. It's completely up to the judge. There are some judges in Idaho I've covered. There was one judge, he was great to work with. He would, before the hearing started, he would come and meet with us, the media, and he would say, all right, come here, you're gonna set up in here, and he'd set us up in the jury box, and he's like, you can shoot anything you want, or please don't shoot the clerk. We don't want videotape, not shoot, you know what I mean. You can show everyone, but not her. And we would abide, we would have to abide. And then there's other judges where they don't, they're not as accommodating, I guess you could say. So, I don't know, it's completely up to the judge, is what I'm saying, in the state of Idaho. When I worked in Virginia, we never got a camera in the courtroom. It was so rare, and it just didn't happen. That being said, today I'm gonna tweet as much as I can as the proceedings are going on. I can't have my phone in there, but I can have my laptop to write my story. And so I'll try to do that through there. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Nate News Now. And I don't tweet a lot other than this. I occasionally tweet. I'm not a big tweeter, but I'll try to do that here today if you want to follow the, you know, play-by-play as far as what's happening. With all the fame that Lori wants, I can't believe he doesn't want cameras. Well, yeah, Larry and Kay want cameras. They are the victims. You're right about that. You're right about that. And this is a challenging case because there are victims in so many states. You've got Tammy Daybell's family in Utah, and Tammy Daybell's parents are elderly and not in good health. They cannot go to Boise for 4 to 10 weeks. So, you know, how are they going to participate? You've got Larry and Kay in Louisiana, and they're able to come, but they're retired. But still, the expense is huge to get a hotel and all of that. So yeah, the judge has to weigh a lot of these things. The victims will have that, and maybe they provide a video feed for the victims and their families. I don't know how you monitor that. Maybe we have asked, believe me, we've asked all parties to reconsider cameras or a live audio feed. And we're not hearing anything back from any of the parties. So that's what's happening, and we'll see. It could happen. I'm hoping for it to change, and hoping we can bring it to you. Regardless, I will be at that trial every single day. and I'll be keeping you posted. I know it's not the same as being there and watching it, especially if you like court stuff, court hearings. But anyway, that's kind of where we stand on the camera. So again, today we have a pre-trial conference. The judge will likely take care of some stuff before the trial is set to begin in probably, 4 or 5 weeks now. Unreal that it's finally happening. Set to begin April 3rd in Ada County. There will be jury selection the first probably week or so, where each side will get X amount of... What they'll do is they'll be able to... The prosecution and the defense, both defense, Chad and Lori's team, will be able to have a certain number of disqualifications. I believe it might be 10, where they can just disqualify a juror for no other reason. Just say, I don't like him, you're out. You don't have to give a reason. But then you get unlimited numbers of reasons to disqualify. So let's say I'm the defense attorney and I bring in a potential juror and I say, what are your views on the death penalty? Because this is a death penalty case. And they say, I am absolutely for it. I believe every person ever charged with any crime should get the death penalty. This is an extreme example. Obviously, the defense is going to say they need to be removed as a potential juror because they are so strong in their views. So that's what will happen. There'll be jury selection probably a week or so. Then there'll be opening arguments, and then the trial begins. And they've scheduled this thing to go through June 9th or 10th, somewhere in there. Could be done earlier. It might be done earlier. I don't think it'll go any longer. I guess it could. But then there'll be, what will happen is the jury will deliberate on guilty or not guilty. And if found guilty, then there's the penalty phase where, excuse me, the sides will argue what the penalty should be. Because it's a death penalty case, then the jury will decide if they get death or not. That's kind of how it works. That's not today. So that's what's happening. I appreciate you all watching. I think there were a couple of other questions in here about cameras that I talked about, but Jordan, anything you want to say?
Not that I can think of. I've come prepared to be out in the cold for a bit. Of these. Some hand warmers, so should be good to go.
Yeah, good old Jordan standing out in the cold. It's 7 degrees right now. That's the air temperature. The feels like temperature is probably at least 0. Or it's bitter. It's cold this morning. Somebody's asking to see the roads. Let me turn this around. This is out our dirty windshield. These are what things look like right now. So if you've never been to Idaho in the winter, this is it. East Idaho, at least. There you go. Okay. Hearing starts in about 15-20 minutes. We're almost to the courthouse, so I'm gonna log off and bring you all the latest. We'll have a full story later today at eastidahonews.com. And thank you for watching. Take care.